Your Magnificence Rector, Mr. President, ladies and gentlemen, it is my great pleasure to welcome you all here at the Vytautas Magnus University. Today we have a great opportunity to discuss resilience, both as a societal asset and personal competency. I'm pleased to note that Vytautas Magnus University has placed resilience at the top of its Transform for Europe Alliance presidency agenda. And the report prepared by President Niinistö is also timely and, I must say, highly instructive. Lithuania knows the true value of resilience, and we are constantly striving to build even more of it. This is a natural response to a complex and evolving spectrum of hybrid threats. What we are facing today is not an isolated problem to be solved somewhere on the eastern flank of the European Union and NATO. This is a truly European challenge now, and it needs European solutions. Cyber attacks, disinformation campaigns, drone incursions, and targeted disruption of critical infrastructure do not stop at national borders. These actions are designed to destabilize, divide, and undermine the democratic values all over the Euro-Atlantic community. No one has declared war, and yet we, as a community, find ourselves in the midst of a conflict. Traditional lines between war and peace are blurring. A gray zone is being created in which state-sponsored actors employ a combination of military and non-military measures to inflict damage without triggering an armed response. In recent months, there has been a notable upsurge of Russian hybrid activities across NATO and European Union member states, especially in the Baltic and Nordic regions. Russian jet fighters violated Estonian airspace, and drones flew over key sites in Belgium, Poland, Romania, Denmark, Norway, Finland, Lithuania, and Germany. Earlier, critical undersea infrastructure was damaged in the Baltic region. Airports and logistics centers crippled by cyber attacks, and elections in European countries targeted by influence operations. This is not a random harassment, but a coordinated and escalating effort. A hybrid warfare that is to be treated with utmost seriousness. At the same time, this wave of activities follows as well a well-known pattern, undermining borders, trying to destabilize nations and attacking democratic values, comes straight out of an old Russian playbook. It is a manifestation of deep-rooted imperial mindset driven by a blatant disregard for the sovereignty of others. This attitude was clearly at play as early as 2006, when Russia cut off supplies through Druzhba pipeline to Lithuania. In 2007, Estonia faced Russia's cyber attack campaign and political and economic pressure following the removal of the Soviet-era bronze soldier war memorial. In 2008, a series of military provocations led directly to war against Georgia. In 2014, active hybrid operations were followed by the illegal occupation of Crimea and parts of Donbas, and later by the current full-scale war. While it is certainly true that Russia's hybrid warfare does not always lead to conventional war, it is no less dangerous. We must respond with resolve, precision, and unity. State-sponsored terrorism shall not be tolerated. It is imperative to treat the provocations with utmost seriousness and to adopt an increasingly proactive approach. First steps have already been taken. Since 2016, NATO has made it clear that hybrid actions against a member state could lead to the invocation of Article 5. This policy was reinforced at the 2023 NATO summit in Vilnius, where leaders agreed that malicious cyber activities and sophisticated hybrid attacks could prompt a collective response. Next in line is the development of the comprehensive response framework that includes intelligence sharing, legal and policy tools, military preparedness, and societal resilience mechanisms. NATO allies must become more assertive and agile in detecting threats, sharing intelligence, and imposing costs on malicious actors. The risk for the hybrid aggressors must be raised, making such operations costly and ineffective. To go beyond this and significantly enhance resilience at the level of NATO and the European Union, I would suggest following a 7-point or 7-step plan. First, we must implement the agreement reached at this year's NATO summit in The Hague to allocate 1.5% of GDP to resilience building. This should ensure the security of our critical infrastructure, cybersecurity, and border protection, along with the necessary inclusion of the stronger counter-drone capabilities. All NATO allies also need to incorporate key resilience targets into their national strategies. Second, when investing in resilience, our countries must not purchase products, software, or technologies from untrustworthy investors such as China. Careful screening of foreign investments originating outside the Euro-Atlantic area and its partners must become a routine resilience hygiene procedure. Third, priority should be given to integrating civil and military planning and enhancing cooperation. Regular exercises must be conducted to test preparedness against potential malicious disruptions from Russia and China. Fourth, serious measures must be taken against Russia's shadow fleet in the Baltic Sea to ensure the protection of critical infrastructure, networks, and transport corridors. Fifth, we must establish comprehensive, practical cooperation among governments in the Baltic Sea region. Institutions responsible for border protection, cybersecurity, counterterrorism, stopping illegal migration, and fighting organized crime must exchange information promptly and coordinate their actions. We should also work closely with local administrations and regions, raising awareness about potential hybrid threats. Sixth, at the national level, special attention must be paid to both the physical protection and cybersecurity of electrical grids and gas storage facilities. Ukrainian lessons show how quickly those crucial networks can be taken out of operation. Having recently completed a critically important synchronization project, the Baltic states and Poland have already submitted a joint project of 360 million euros to the European Commission's Power Protection Vehicle to protect our critical energy infrastructure. And seventh, we must strengthen NATO-EU cooperation, ramp up our defense industries, and support startups developing cutting-edge technologies. Tackling Russia's hybrid war requires innovative solutions such as drone software, effective detection of incursions, and spare parts for pipelines, and we must find them together. Ladies and gentlemen, in our new reality, defense is no longer solely the responsibility of armed forces or security services. Robust hybrid resilience requires a whole-of-society approach, combining military readiness with civilian preparedness, government coordination, and private sector involvement. The collective effort of all sectors of society are needed. Ultimately, the burden of responsibility falls on every single citizen of a democratic state and every member of a free and open society. The constant pressure of dangerous adversary regimes requires constant vigilance, especially when it comes to the great challenge of our times: mass-produced, relatively cheap, and easily distributed misinformation or disinformation. With our historic memory, democratic values, and very notion of truth under vicious attack, we must mobilize and resist with all our strength. Never before has critical thinking, based on the solid foundation of knowledge, been as important as today. And this means that modern education, and especially our universities, has a crucial role to play in preparing young adults for an increasingly uncertain and complex reality. The great battle for our minds and hearts and for the future of democracy has only just begun. Yet, standing here in this great hall of Vytautas Magnus University, I strongly believe that moral truth will always shine through, thanks to our educators, innovators, and all the people that truly care. I thank you wholeheartedly and invite you to join in this inspiring discussion. Thank you so much.